but I got to protect my time and make sure that it's, worthwhile. And that's part of it too,
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. Listen, we believe every agent should make a minimum of $100,000 per year, and we're on a mission to make this happen. We've already helped over 100 agents achieve this with our coaching. So if you want to fast track your business growth, get to your first $100,000 in GCI or add another $100,000 in GCI using social strategies, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com, or you can just click the link in the description below. Also, just make sure to follow us, hit that subscribe button, and if you get any value from this at all, please tell a friend and leave us a review. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
I think this is a nicer transition as well into your second topic, which is about staying in your lane. And I think this is to do with focus, right? But unpack what you mean by staying in your lane, because this is a great topic.
One thing that I've learned through hard experiences and wastes of my time and money is, not focusing on what I'm good at, and what I'm good at is acquisitions and making money off of the transaction, just coming and going like that and nurturing those relationships. I have a construction company set up. It's not like a publicly advertised one. I just have a little entity set up so that I can pull permits and all that stuff. And I have that, and I have a couple other businesses that I dabbled in that, just took years of my life, literally just stole them. And, some of them with flips and stuff like that, some of them I made, 30, 40 grand, but it was a year and a half of my time, and if I'm making $350, $450, $550 an hour, whatever the hourly rate is, I'm in the negative. I'm in the hole for all the time that I exerted on those projects. So, it's fun. It's like an emotional thing when you flip and build houses. It's just not something that I make money at, you know what I'm saying? Or that I'm my best at. I can do it, and I'm a perfectionist. It's like a piece of art for me, seeing it come together, but that's not what I'm good at making money at, So I've learned that I make money on the transaction. So, doing it through real estate transactions, title, insurance, stuff like that, that's what I'm good at, all the other stuff, not as much, it's fun. It's an emotional roller coaster, but it's not what I'm good at making money at,
It's doubling down on your strengths, right?
Right, exactly.
So basically what I'm taking away from what you're saying here is just focus on the main thing. And that's really it. Don't get sidetracked by the other things that you could be doing that make you money right now, because it takes away from your main thing. So even though you could be doing 30, 40 grand in the other business or the other company or the other thing that you're doing, and you spend a year and a half to it, why don't you spend a year and a half on the transactions? And you'll very quickly realize that instead of making 30, 40 grand extra, maybe you've made 100 grand extra. Is that what you're saying, JJ?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
I think that the thing that all our listeners need to take away wasn't like JJ lost money on the fix and flips. It wasn't like he did it and it was like, fuck, lost all my money. It's like, no, I made 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever it was. The big question is, and I'm not sure if you've ever thought about this, in that year and a half you lost, how much more money do you think you could have made if you just sold real estate, which is what you're saying you're good at?
Probably 350 grand.
Right. So, staying focused basically cost you 300 grand, or your lack of focus essentially cost you 300 grand. Now, these are expensive lessons. And I know people are like, yeah, but you never earn that money. And it's like, you're not seeing the point. When you get so good at a craft, you know your numbers. And then you're like, holy fuck, I really lost that. And right. Although it wasn't money that went out your bank, it's money that never entered. And that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's almost the same level of problem as if it had left. But it's bigger in a weird way because focus is something that we harp on about a lot. Like when we sell real estate, one of the things, and I'm interested to get your feedback on this. So we focus on one lead source, right? This is our big thing. So for you, you're getting a ton from like investors. We focus on social media. That's how we're able to scale so quickly. You know, that's just like our forte. We've been doing it for years, and we just went straight up, surpassed a bunch of people just using social media because it's what we know how to do. Here's what we didn't do. We didn't start cold calling. We didn't start door knocking. We didn't start, doing all this other shit. We didn't start doing YouTube. We didn't start doing Instagram posts. We didn't start, doing all that. No, we just did Facebook, which is what we know how to do and what we also teach people how to do. And it's like, we know it works very well. And then what did we do when we wanted more deals? We just turned it up, and we just turned it up. And guess what we want when we want more deals? We'll just keep turning it up. And we'll just keep turning it up, and we'll keep turning it up, and it'll get to a point where it breaks. But there's people in our circle doing over $1 million a year just from Facebook. In GCI, that's not, in GCI, $1 million a year. And it's like, I'm not sure if we want to work that much.
Well, but I got one question, because I know people are going to, as they're listening, they're probably thinking about this. Is like, first of all, JJ, how did you figure out that thing took you a year and a half, sucked 30, you made 30, 40K, but it sucked a year and a half of your time. How do you make those decisions? How do you recognize those opportunities of where you should actually be focusing on? And how do you know that next thing that just maybe is going to make you some money is the right thing to say no to, and you're not just missing out on an opportunity, right? Because a lot of it comes from FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right. I would say that the greatest way that I learn is through pain and misery, because I'm a very hands-on learner, and I'm also, it's like you were saying, the focus thing. I'm super ADD to the core, so I have a client that flips houses, and he's not a realtor, and I'm just like, oh, I want to flip houses too, and look at that, and da 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 da, and I go and try it, and I get sucked in the black hole, and now you're in it, and you got to finish it. Otherwise, you're not going to make it out alive. So the way that, I've kind of come to terms with that and learned, is through pain, and, the biggest thing is I've had deals that I've done, like as far as investments and flips and stuff like that and builds, that I've never lost money technically. But I have had some where I was like, man, I didn't make shit, but I learned a lot. I learned more about construction. I learned more about what risks to take and what not to take. And I've learned more about, the building process in general and permitting and all that stuff. So,
yeah. So, some lessons, they say you can't let children find out that fire's hot, but there is other lessons that they have to learn by making the mistake. Some you can't let them afford to learn, but there's others. And we've experienced the exact same stuff. I mean, they say one of the keys to being successful in business, and that's exactly what realtors are. I mean, it's bizarre that a lot of people think this is a job. It's like, no, you're a real estate agent, you're an entrepreneur, this is a business you own. Congratulations. Welcome to what you bought into, business owner. But it's like the key initially is to say yes to everything and figure it out along the way. The key to growing is to figuring out to say no to everything except exactly what you're niched at. So it's like that skill set, it's that hard transition where you're like, yeah, I'll do your luxury. Yeah, I'll do the 50 grand fix and flip. Yeah, I'll do this and this because I need money coming in. Otherwise I'm going to be broke and homeless and out on my ass. And then eventually when you've got money coming in, you need to go, actually, all of that, it was great, but like, that's now no. Right. And it's like also what you touched on. It's like, okay, luxury sounds good because you make 50 grand commission on one deal. But if that's not your jam, like if you're not ready to rock up in suits and I don't know, McLaren and all that other stuff, and it's, that whole luxury vibe, like you don't do that. Focus on the 300K, the 400K, the 500K, whatever your medium price point is. And you can turn up in your gym clothes and a hat, and people, they vibe with that for the most part. And you've got kids. And it's like, that's a hard transition for a lot of agents that we found. It's like they say yes initially to everything, which like on the surface makes sense. But then when they are struggling to grow, it's because they're saying yes to everything. And they're just getting pulled in so many different directions. This come back to staying in your lane. It's like they're in like 40 lanes now. You know, it's like, fix and flip sounds great. And then you're like, shit, I just lost a year and a half of my life.
Right. That's how it goes.
It's a hard one to teach though, isn't it? It's like you've got to build self-discipline. And correct me, but I guarantee now, after making a few of these expensive either time or money mistakes, you have more discipline about going, actually, that's a no and that's a yes, right? As opposed to like, that really does sound good.
Yeah. Actually, right before I hopped on here, I got a cold call to the office. Lady called, hey, I want to talk to JJ. And my administrator was like, well, who are you? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I'm a real estate agent in, Maine, and my son's buying a house down there, And she's like, just starts spitting off all this stuff, how there's no houses out there and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, I want a 30. I get on the phone and she's like, yeah, do you pay referral fees? I said, yeah, we'll pay a referral fee. What's the price point and what's your referral fee? And she was like, 400,000, which is very hard to find in Charleston because it's like everything's gone up, and 35% referral fee. And I was like, you know what? I think we're just I think you need to find someone else. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm just not your guy, And she was like, really? I was like, yeah, I'm not your guy. There's 7,000 agents in Charleston. I'm not your guy. And she's like, well, I looked at you and your reviews and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's a good fit, and I'm really busy. I'm just trying to be honest with you. And she was just like, what the fuck, But I knew, like, in the first 20 seconds that I spoke to her, she was very high strung, and I knew that she was going to need a lot of attention, which is fine, but I got to protect my time and make sure that it's, worthwhile. And that's part of it too,
Was the 35% referral fee part of your decision-making process?
Probably. Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. That was the first
I know when I heard that, I was like, ooh, okay. So, you're calling a top agent, you're calling someone that's pretty busy, that can get you a house, it has amazing reviews. And you're asking almost 40% of what he's going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is not a good business decision.
Actually, just speaking of referral partners, I'm interested in your take. This is my take on referral partners. I'd rather my client have a good experience and me take less, right? So I'd rather go to you, be like, JJ's going to do a fucking bomb ass job and he's going to crush it for you, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, JJ, like, I respect you. Like, if you take 15%, like, just do an amazing job for them. If you can promise me that, like, I'll take a small cut. Like, I really just want that. Would your reaction have been, that sounds fair? Like that's very generous, and like, I could do that if it was a lot lower. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I always found it sounds so obvious to me, but a lot of people don't do this. Just put the clients first. Like, just genuinely put them first, because I tell you what, if that client has an amazing experience with JJ, because JJ is now like, holy shit, I've only got to pay 15%, right? So he's like, I've got more, I'm making basically almost a full commission on this, right? So this is a good deal for me. He does a great job because he wants them to have a great experience. Well, it's like, well, both JJ and the realtor who referred them have now got good rep, because they're like, JJ came referred from this person. They're amazing in X state. Like, you should use them. Like, I had an amazing experience with both of them. Like, all this just comes back, and it comes back to the very first bit about chasing relationships and building them and like harnessing them. Also with other agents, like, that's how you do it, in my opinion, because one of the biggest struggles that a lot of people have is finding genuinely other good agents to refer business to. Now, this is one of the superpowers of everyone listening to this show. We only interview top producers who are sick at their job. So we've literally interviewed hundreds of agents. So you can go back and listen and find out what states, cities, counties they do business in. And it's like literally a catalog of people who would have a phenomenal experience if you wanted to refer business to. Like, this is kind of the irony of this show, where we figured this out later and we were like, holy shit, everyone is a top producer. And what happens? People refer business to each other on the show as well, because you now know that guy in Cali, You know, it's like they're going to have an amazing experience with a guy that sold 1,000 homes last year, you know, because they do that good a job, you know? And it's like, you know, just stop thinking about yourself, think about the future. Being generous on both sides of the equation to the other realtor and to the client and giving them a great experience is only going to pay. And it might not be JJ that pays it back to you in the future. It might be some other person. The world just kind of works like that, right? It's like you just got to have the foresight to go, it'll come back to me some way. I might drop $50 on the floor and some guy comes and picks it up and gives it back. And that was it coming back from the world. But like, hey ho, take it, right?
Right.
$50. Yeah. And that's kind of my mentality around it. It's like the client always comes first. Make sure they're going to have a great job and have a great experience with whoever you refer them to. And also like we get a huge sense of comfort from knowing that other person's a top producer and really is good at their job, that we know when we're handing them off, it's not going to come back bad on us, which is, you know, ultimately is our reputation. You know, when we're selling homes, it's like you want to have a good reputation, you want all them good reviews. Like, it's the nature of business these days. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching 100% for free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.